So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to AS Roma Theory, as today is a good day to talk about our biggest problem. And this problem is all about injuries. Let's talk about this. Why have we got so many injuries? But the real topic of this live stream is kind of to give you an update on our two latest injured players, which are Pellegrini and Paulo Dybala, and talk about their injuries and that kind of stuff. But before getting into detail, what I do want to do is obviously speak about this injury crisis in general, because how do we explain this? I would definitely put a lot of reasons behind this. The main reason is that we are playing too many matches, and this is clearly a reason, because if you compare this season to last season, there are plenty more injuries. And what's the difference between this season and last season? The situation is that we're playing more matches. We're playing every 2 to 3 days. This is something unacceptable. And I've already spoken about this, so I don't really want to say it again. But this World Cup in the winter is absolutely bullshit. So that is definitely a reason, because last season we played once every week. Obviously, sometimes we played 2 times a week, but we had way more space in between matches. This season we don't. We really don't. I mean, we do, but after the World Cup, leading towards the World Cup, and all of, the rest of September, all of October, and half of November, we need to play with this weight on our shoulders, which is too many matches. Another reason which I would definitely throw in is something to do with Roma's physios. Now, we can't hide the fact there is definitely something wrong in the physio side of this club, because we are the team with more injuries in the entire of the Serie A, and it's been like this for quite a long while. So we can't hide the fact that the physio needs to step up their work, and there is something, maybe it's something to do with training sessions which isn't working. But, if you compare the numbers of players who get injured at Roma and the numbers of players who get injured in other clubs, it's significant. But, speaking about players, we do have, obviously, as you can see from your screen, Dybala out, El Shaarawy out, Pellegrini out, Karsdorp out, Kumbulla out, and I did not include him in the graphic, but Gini is out as well. I didn't include him because it's a way longer injury. He will most probably be back in February 2023 if everything goes to plan. Speaking about Gini Wijnaldum, he literally just posted an Instagram video explaining and speaking about his injury, because he actually didn't say anything from the day he got injured to today. So make sure to go watch it if you do have Instagram, and if you do follow Gini Wijnaldum on Instagram. He just posted a 1 minute long video explaining, thanking for everyone for the support and all of that usual stuff. Now, obviously, the rest of our players don't have major injuries. As you can see, they are all injuries which, most of these players are back after this international break. Dybala should be back after the international break. Pellegrini's back after the international break. El Shaarawy's back. Kumbulla's back. Karsdorp got surgery yesterday because he had a muscle problem, if I'm not wrong. But he'll be back in 4 to 5 weeks, so it's nothing major there. That definitely means that Cilic needs to step up performances. But again, I do want to focus on Dybala and Pellegrini, because they're the latest injuries. They're the 2 players which got injured in our latest match. Now, Pellegrini actually has a slight muscle problem. It is not even a muscle, what do you want to call it? A muscle, it's not a major problem. It's just because he's been playing too many matches. So it's nothing major, but unfortunately, he went to the Italian national team training ground, did some medical checkups, and Mancini sent him back to Trigoria. You know what? Good. Thank God he got back. Because these international matches, especially for teams like Italy who did not qualify for the World Cup, are ridiculous. Are absolutely ridiculous. I cannot stand the Nations League. That is another money tournament. It is insane. If I lose the Nations League, who gives an absolute crap? I am very happy Pellegrini got back in Rome and had to say no to the international call-up. Thank God, especially for this national team who's playing for absolutely nothing. Imagine having played Pellegrini and getting him injured because we played in a Nations League match. Oh, come on, get over with it. Very, very positive news that Pellegrini is back in Rome. The least and kind of the less positive news is on the Dybala side. Because again, Dybala got injured in the warming up against Atalanta. Now, it's a weird situation with Dybala. I won't lie. It's a very weird situation. I'm not saying he faked his injury because he is a professional football player. But what I will say, and I can confirm this, as someone is mentioning in the chat, or has mentioned in the chat, is that you can clearly tell that Dybala's main attention right now is the World Cup. And to be honest with you, I don't really blame him. This is most probably the last World Cup he'll play. This is the last World Cup that he will definitely play next to Messi. This is, we're speaking about a nation, a population which basically care about football more than they do. Basically, in Argentina, football is a religion. We can't hide that. The passion of football in Argentina is something else. Just imagine all of that country supporting this Argentina in this World Cup, which is basically going to be their potentially, most probably, the last ever World Cup of the best player to live in this planet. Controversial opinion, but again, he has been one of the best, if not the best player. Just imagine that. So Dybala doesn't want to miss this opportunity, and I think Argentina's have got quite a few chances of getting quite far. So obviously, we can't blame him. The World Cup is definitely his biggest objective this season, but I do think that he is prioritizing Argentina to Roma right now. After the World Cup, obviously, he will give it, and we can't criticize anything about Dybala because he's been pulling this team. He's been scoring the bangers and all of that. But, why do I say this? I say this because he got a slight muscle problem, just like Pellegrini, but he still flew to the Argentinian training ground. I appreciate that. He flew to Miami, where the Argentinian team is back on a group. And he is there. And in these days, he's not going to train. He's going to have medical checkups with the Argentina national team. On Friday, which is the 23rd if I'm not wrong, he will have his definite medical checkup to see if he can actually play these matches with the Argentina national team or if he gets back to Trigoria under Jose Mourinho. Hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed he gets back. Because I don't want to risk Dybala. We've seen this team without Dybala. We cannot risk Dybala. But, Dybala definitely, if you're an injured player, if you do have a slight injury, then I hate to say it, but you do say no to the national team. But again, it's a sacrifice. He's done it. He wants to play this World Cup. He has said it, that, he wants to be in the best of form for this World Cup. So we cannot criticize him for absolutely anything. He's totally right to do this. However, when it comes to this, Mourinho's a bit skeptical, when it comes to giving Dybala to the Argentina national team and him having a slight injury. He was a bit skeptical. So Mourinho said, either way, if he passes his medical checkups and does end up playing the Argentinian matches, Mourinho has asked the Argentinian national team to give Dybala back and to let Dybala leave the training ground 72 hours to 48 hours before the Inter Milan match. Because Mourinho needs Dybala in the preparation for that match. Mourinho is slowly understanding that the Inter Milan match is such an important match. And if we don't have Dybala, then we're immediately getting to Milan with not even a chance to get 3 points or even 1 point. So Dybala will be fundamental for that match, and Mourinho has asked to get Dybala back to him around 72 hours to 48 hours before the Inter Milan match. But again, these are our two latest options. Pellegrini's back in Rome. Dybala it has a question mark. He could get back in Rome as well. It all depends on what his medical checkups say on Friday the 23rd. By the way, I say medical checkups. He needs to pass the, it's nothing major. He will be back after the international break. But Mourinho is worried because if he plays and he's not 100% fit, then he might, put more pressure on that injury. So it's nothing major, but it's something to be careful about. And talking about Argentina and Dybala, as I said yesterday, Dybala will definitely be the biggest fear of this World Cup because Argentina can go quite far. He will be a big part of this World Cup. And, Dybala is kind of injury prone. So hopefully he doesn't get injured severely in the World Cup. But fingers crossed that will be the case. Kumbula, El Shaarawy will all be back after the international break. Again, they've had a lot of weeks to train with the team, to say no to. El Shaarawy has been quite a few years that he's not been getting call-ups. But yeah. Why do you think Mancini isn't calling up Zaniolo? Due to him recently coming off injury, or just as right, Nico? Well, the injury is definitely something to say. You see what? Mancini's... I appreciate Mancini because he made us win the Euro, but a part of me... You see... Part of me wants to keep Mancini because he made us win the Euros. But part of me says that this nation cannot not go to a World Cup. So, if you get thrown out of a World Cup qualifier against Macedonia, then that immediately to me means sack the manager. But again, Zaniolo with the injury is definitely something which he considered. But again, he doesn't rate Zaniolo. It's not like he doesn't rate Zaniolo because he isn't good enough, but he doesn't like his attitude. And I'll be honest with you, I think Mancini is right to kind of point at his attitude every time, but Mancini is also being very harsh here because Zaniolo has improved his attitude. We can't hide this. His attitude was shit last season, and I was the first one to say this. But this season, after several talks with Mourinho, after that faith from Mourinho back inside him, he has definitely improved when it comes to attitude. But Mancini doesn't like his attitude. There was this incident a few years ago. Zaniolo was still very young with Keane from Juventus. And they started doing weird stuff in the hotel and all of that stuff. It's right, because Mancini is professional. So you need to pick up on these things. But you need to give these players a chance. Because another reason why I think I don't like Mancini is because to cover Zaniolo's position, this guy literally went to give a call up to fucking Gabbiadini. That makes no sense. You cannot not give a call up to Zaniolo, which I could understand, but then you end up giving that call up to someone like Gabbiadini, or I've read another name. That to me doesn't make sense. You know what? Thank God to us he didn't give a call up to Zaniolo, because you see, Zaniolo gets injured very oftenly, and it's good because what I said at the start of this live stream, if we get injured, Zaniolo, because of a Nations League match, you're like, oh my God. It's insane. So really good for us that he didn't give Zaniolo a call up, because you know how many players risk getting injured just to play useless matches? I just think this international break is very useless. It's very useless. It's useful for players who go to teams which go to the World Cup, but not to teams which don't go to the World Cup. It's absolutely nonsense. So it's good for us, but Zaniolo definitely needs to grab that faith back, just like he did with Mourinho, to Mancini as well. Because I think there is something between Mancini and Zaniolo, which the Italian coach doesn't like. But yeah. Meanwhile, Mancini keeps calling up Immobile, who has been horrible in both the Euro Cup and the World Cup qualifiers. Yeah, because I think Mancini's understood that this nation doesn't have a striker. So he keeps on giving chances to new people, but no one surprises. So at the end of the day, you just rely on Immobile. That's the problem. And the big problem of this Italian national team is that the Italian league is a league where teams do not experiment with academy teams, and that's a big problem when it comes to national teams, because you do not grow players. Italian teams, all spend loads of money to buy international players, which don't give a chance to Italian players from academy teams or just from first squads to just perform and to give a chance. And that is something which Mancini has criticized, and I will criticize myself. You know, yes, it's good to have a few international players, but, you know, and I've said this again. I've said this already, and I'll say it again, just to make you actually understand the perspective of this. Roma's actually quite good because we do have a lot of Italian teams. But I'll give you an example. Look at Juventus or look at Inter Milan. Imagine the English language would not be a universal language. Have you ever asked yourself what language they speak in those changing rooms? That is something which I always ask myself. Look at Juventus and you ask yourself, what language does Allegri use to communicate with the players? When you've got a Polish goalkeeper, 2 Brazilian players, a Serbian forward, you've got an Italian player, you've got an Argentine, what language do they use? And that really puts to mind that this league needs to not cut off international players, but grow more Italian players and play with a more Italian-based team. I'm confused. I was told Italy is not in the World Cup. I'm not sure if that's sarcastic, but yeah, Italy is not in the World Cup. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this live stream speaking about injuries and also speaking about some current Serie A problems when it comes to Italian players and all of that. If you haven't already, make sure to smash the subscribe button in this smash the subscribe button and also smash the like button in this live stream as well. Follow me on Instagram over there in the orange box over at Simon_ASO_, and share the link of my channel with your family and friends. And I will catch you tomorrow with more updates. It's a weekend without Roma. Oh well, we needed a breather. I'll catch you soon. Simon out.